Hey, welcome in. This is Kyle is Wonderful here with another wrestling review, and this time it's from yesterday, the NWA National Wrestling Alliance Always Ready pay-per-view event themed around the coming into the event, the reigning NWA World Champion, among other titles that he held, Matt Cardona, the former Zack Ryder from WWE, who's been on fire ever since getting released from WWE. It's been a pretty amazing year last year. The run for Cardona in multiple promotions across the world, not limited to, but including title reigns in Impact Wrestling, G, um, CW, and um, NWA. So the NWA, he had recently won the NWA World Title from Nick Aldis, who, as they mentioned in the broadcast, had Nick Aldis, the former Magnus from Impact Wrestling, has resurrected the NWA slowly but surely in the last 5 years by putting on some technical wrestling clinics and getting the respect of old timers such as um, before he passed away, legendary NWA wrestler and champion Harley Race gave his blessing to this new version of NWA after distancing himself from anything that had the NWA name before that. So Nick Aldis had grown this with a lot of other people's help. Billy Corgan came in around that time, who, if you remember, Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins was big on um, Impact Wrestling when Anthem took over. It was Billy Corgan with his money and stuff right after the Global Force Wrestling stuff, and really a bad time in Impact Wrestling. And I don't know if Billy Corgan, it was his fault or what, or if it was already just he inherited a mess for sure. So Billy Corgan, I don't know how much he's in charge here, if he has a lot more people helping him. But what I was going to do for this event is, I was not familiar with the NWA product other than it is one of those promotions that I follow on Twitter and have followed on Twitter for over a year, as well as some of the wrestlers, and look at some of their events just on writing. So I've never watched a card, never watched one of their shows, but I did know they were easily accessible on YouTube. So what I did was, when I found out that there was a Steam show and Matt Cardona, who I've been trying to follow along on his run. I did not like the stuff he did in the ECW kind of environment. So I was interested to see how he did in the NWA, where tradition, if you guys don't know, NWA was back when the territory days, for over 70 years. The NWA has been around, and they were the ones that all the territories had their presidents be a representative, and they would have a vote between all the presidents of the different territories who's the world champion was going to be, and then that world champion would tour around to the different territories when he was champion to draw big crowds and whatnot. So that's where the legacy came from. Of course, that legacy of the NWA went to World Championship Wrestling, and it was really popular just before that in the 80s. Jim Crockett Promotions and stuff like that with the NWA. A lot of really good classic wrestling that people still talk about today. Then it went kind of more WCW, and then morphed into, like, when WCW got all the way to the point of Nitro, NWA was no longer really around uh, them. Instead, NWA was relegated to the extreme small indies in America at this point, because there was only WCW and WWF. And one thing they tried was Eastern Championship Wrestling, and we all know what happened with the birth. That was the birth of Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW as we know it, when Shane Douglas won the NWA title in a tournament and immediately threw the title belt down and called it garbage and the NWA garbage, and said he was the Extreme Championship World Champion instead. So NWA had been through a lot. They were resurrected yet again on a bigger platform with NWA TNA. If you guys don't remember, TNA formed as NWA TNA when they were doing the weekly pay-per-views. And even after the weekly pay-per-views, they were having the NWA World Champion being determined on TNA television. So there was some good times there with really good champions. But around the time, like, Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe were there, then it became the Impact title, and once again the NWA title was relegated to the lower independent scene. Um, from there, the NWA struggled, but they did have a working relationship with New Japan of all people, and of all people, if you remember him, just look at me. Rob Conway, also from La Resistance fame, was the NWA champion, and I remember him. I think he wrestled Jushin Thunder Liger at the Tokyo Dome Wrestle Kingdom for the NWA title. So, the NWA title was kind of still being kept alive in New Japan Wrestling of all things. Um, of course, there was other things where they was defended, but the fact that New Japan had it in their biggest shows in WrestleMania of New Japan Wrestling kept this belt alive. And now we fast forward to where it is now with the Billy Corgan, Nick Aldis resurrection. I went into this show, like I said, only knowing very the very minimum of what had been going on and who's there, but I knew it was a good mixed match of independent wrestlers that I knew, especially in the women's division. A lot of the women I've seen on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, especially when they were at Daly's Place through the pandemic. Tony Khan was helping out a lot of the independent wrestlers who no longer had bookings, and they were on Dark a lot. So we will see Kylan King in a world NWA world title match tonight, and she's amazing. I always thought she was gonna be signed by AEW, and she probably could at any point. Maybe she even turned them down and wanted to focus on other things, such as maybe NWA. So she's getting a title shot tonight, and so. But there was also people like Trevor Murdoch, who's from the late 2000s era of Raw, kind of in the late Ruthless Aggression. And there was also a little bit of the WWE CW connection, where, of course, Matt Cardona and his partner Brian Myers were the major brothers in that WWE CW. They've also got Mike Knox as well. So little bit from everywhere. Billy Corgan also brought in a lot of people from his era of working at Impact Wrestling with Anthem. So you got your Taryn Terrells and your Marty Bells and Sierra, the former Sierra. So people like that are also here, and of course Magnus is here, and and the rest are some guys on the independent scene that seem pretty good. But so what I did, I didn't go into this pay-per-view completely blind, but I also didn't want to do any kind of research other than watching their television shows. So yesterday, before the New Japan show, and this is the reason I couldn't get this review out until today, but yesterday before the New Japan shows, I spent a good amount of time watching the last 5 weeks of new NWA television programming. You can find it on YouTube for free, and NWA Power is their main program that lasts about 55 minutes on the YouTube. And then they also have a supplementary show every week, NWA USA, and that's about 35 minutes. So about an hour and a half of programming a week, and I watched 5 weeks of it to get into this without going on to the internet to looking up maybe who's this or what's going on or what's that. So I wanted to give you guys a good idea of what it would be like to just jump into NWA blind. And overall, I really like the promotion. I'll just give you a quick before I get into the event, I'll give you a quick rundown of the last five. And I don't remember all the storylines per se. I wasn't taking notes either. I was just trying to absorb everything that I was getting. I was getting a lot of tag teams thrown at me of people I had never seen before. So I have to learn the tag team name and the name of both competitors. And like I said, NWA Power is their main show, and that's what I started with 5 weeks ago, Virgin. And right off the bat, a really good feel of the old NWA. It was in a small studio. It had a bunch of flags hanging in the background. It looked like the old NWA studio. All the old NWA logos. They tried to do some of the sound effects and all the different features in the program, kind of making it look like the 1980s version of World Championship Wrestling version of NWA. So the NWA Power Show is pretty good. The presentation there. I find out a few episodes later that they do travel around, so it's not always in this small studio. So I did prefer the small studio that looked like old school NWA better than the other studio, which just looked like a normal independent wrestling show. But at the small studio show, you do not get music unless it's just too quiet to hear on TV, but you don't get any entrance music, which I'm a big fan of entrance music. So, um, but when they went to the regular independent wrestling arena, the indie show, they all had music for that one. So, like I said, I'm not really gonna get into what happened per se. I might mention things as we go on the card here for the pay-per-view if I notice something on TV, but I was definitely just trying to soak everything in. I love the feel they got going. Definitely noticed they have a lot of heavyweights slash super heavyweights. So if you're not into your big powerhouse matches, your big hoss matches, this might not be the promotion for you. They definitely have an emphasis on that. But I enjoyed watching these shows, and there was some surprises. So the biggest surprise, which had me dying of laughter, it was so funny and out of place on an NWA show, even a 2022 version, where they're still kind of trying to keep the um, traditions alive. But that's not to say they don't have a little bit of silliness, because at one point I see one of my favorite characters in all of wrestling, one of my favorite managers as a character, Father James Mitchell from WCW and Impact TNA Wrestling fame. So Father James Mitchell, of course, is running a stable. I think he's got like these two guys, but it looks like there's a third guy as well. So it looks like he's got three guys. Um, One, I think I can't even remember. He was kind of generic, but another one's like a crazy, like small, scrawny, older guy with like crazy hair, and he's like clearly crazy, and that's his gimmick, and everybody's a little put off by him. He's also got a creepy factor to him. So this is the evil Father James Mitchell stable I'm talking about. And then the third guy seems to be a guy in a gimp mask and a gimp outfit. And I find out his name is Gags the Gimp. So you also get that kind of stuff on TNA. So I see them. I think they wrestled or at least had some kind of something in the first week of programming. By the second week of programming, I get like a really weird 1 minute promo with Gags the Gimp by himself. He doesn't say a word the entire 1 minute, but then eventually unzips his gag mask and sticks his tongue out. That was pretty funny. Then the next week, we find out that Gags the Gimp is only recently joined with Father James Mitchell, as Angelina Love and Velvet Sky, of all people, are interviewing Father James Mitchell in the back. And they're asking, like, where did you find Gags the Gimp? What do you have possibly need with a Gimp? And Father James Mitchell is hilarious here. He talks about all kinds of crazy stuff, but he basically says, "Oh, well, I found him under a bridge doing unspeakable acts for $5, but I don't want to talk about that anymore." And Angelina Love and Velvet Sky just look at each other like they want to puke. Like, it was pretty funny. So the next week in the stories of Gags the Gimp, he's getting beat down by his like crazy guy partner in his stable apparently. And of all things, the crowd starts chanting "Gags the Gimp, Gags the Gimp." So we got like a Gags the Gimp face turn already, but then we find out he just likes pain and he wouldn't really like. He's still part of the Father James Mitchell, but that doesn't make the crowd stop cheering for him. So now we've got an over Gimp part of NWA. So this is the kind of product you're looking at. And like I said, if I think of other things as I go through the card from the pay per view, I'll let you know what I saw maybe on TV, or maybe if there was no build at all, I'll let you know as well. So I did watch the pre show for this, and it was a pretty good pre show. One of the better pre shows I've watched in any company in recent history. I'll be honest. So they do a good job of letting you know like what some of the storylines are, but you also get promos and two matches. So I'll kind of go through the pre-show as if it was part of the pay-per-view event. They get a rundown of the card. We are in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm not quite sure if I told you guys that yet. The former Damian Sandow, now known as Aaron Stevens, is apparently going to be in his retirement match, or as Aaron Stevens calls it, his swan song, and that'll be against Trevor Murdoch. We've got the Hex, which is the two women from formerly of Impact Wrestling, and that's Marty Bell and formerly Sienna, um, but now her name is something K, Allison K. So that'll be one of the matches. Hex is their name, and they'll be defending the women's world titles against the hometown girl. At least one of the women were hometown. I'm not quite sure if maybe both of them. So that'll be a little bit later. The Homicide, who I've seen now, I think I've seen him defend the title like 3 or 4 times. He is the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship. So just like New Japan Wrestling, NWA is pretty good about dividing their smaller roster from their big 280-pound guys. So I'm always a fan of that. I'm over watching like a 300-pound guy versus a 180-pound guy. Like Rey Mysterio did it best. No one can really top or think of anything else that you could possibly do other than like the stuff that Rey Mysterio did against big men. Not to say that other people didn't have good matches, big man versus small man. Like a Shawn Michaels versus Diesel was always great, and stuff like that. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, of course, is what I should have said. But him and Diesel still had good matches. So anyway, Homicide will be defending his title against PJ Hawks, who I've never heard of or seen before. So we'll be able to watch a new junior heavyweight wrestler and see, like, you never know, PJ Hawks could be in next year's Best of the Super Juniors. This is kind of why you want to watch a little bit of everything in the wrestling world. Next we find out we got Black G's is his name, Black G's, and he's interviewed in the back. He said he's going to manage Tyrus tonight. And that he's not normally Tyrus, the former Funkadactyl from WWE, or the Funkasaurus, I should have said. And so Tyrus is normally managed, and he's in Austin Idol is not only a manager, I think Austin Idol is a former NWA World Champion, and he won it from Ric Flair. But if not, he was like very close to. Austin Idol is a manager and a commentator, but he didn't commentate tonight. So just on the television shows, I got to hear Austin Idol doing commentary. But he's the manager of Idol Sports Management, and Black G's is, I think, either the leader or the second in command of the Church Money is the name of their stable. So two heel stables having an agreement here. Black G's will manage Tyrus later on, and Tyrus is the, I think, NWA national champion. Oh wait, no, the television champion. So the same title, the exact same looking title that Arn Anderson made famous in the late 80s, mid to late 80s. So then we got our first match. It's Rodney Max. So we've even got people from the 2003, 2004 era of SmackDown. Rodney Mack is coming out. And if you guys don't know Rodney Mack, but you do know wrestling, and you always wondered why in Teddy Long's theme song he's always talking about like the Mac Militant. That's because that Teddy Long theme song is Rodney Mack's old theme song, and Teddy Long was Rodney Mack's manager at the time, and they, among other things, were doing they were having a weekly white boy challenge where they would bring in a scrawny looking white boy and beat him up. I can't remember how that feud ended, but Rodney Mack didn't have too lengthy of a time. They also had an association with Jazz, who sadly didn't have as long a run in WWE as she should have either. But despite Rodney Mack being of advanced age, looks in pretty good shape here. He's going to wrestle against Magic Jake Dumas, who looks like this guy I've seen before in Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, who also had a magic gimmick, but maybe they're just both magic guys. I'm not quite sure if they're the same guy, but, and like I said, I tried to go into this without looking up things online, but I did enjoy everything that I've seen, so I will continue to talk about NWA on this channel going forward. And when I'm done with this review here, I will look up a few more things and try to have a better understanding going forward. But I wanted to give you guys what it's like if you wanted to just jump in blindly. So here's my account of jumping in blindly on, but I do have 30 years of wrestling and watching all kinds of promotions under my belt. So I knew a lot of these people beforehand. But like I said, Rodney Mack, he looks a little bit old, but still in great shape. He's got chains around him. And then Magic Jake Dumas, he's got an assistant named CJ. She comes out. She's got like a Brazil Carnival outfit on. And she keeps messing up during the entrance. And this is something we'll get during the match as well, that she's not she doesn't know what she's doing apparently, or just messing up, or a klutz or something. But I was already laughing at this point with her kind of messing up his entrance and stuff. We get a dog howl from Rodney Mack. Pretty slow match, but not too bad. Um, we get a playing. So the Magic guy, Magic Jake Dumas, he also came out with a cigarette in his mouth. So that's part of his gimmick. He's just a big cigarette smoker, I guess. But he gets a playing card at one point that he magically produces, and he acts like he gives like a paper cut across the eyes or the face of Rodney Mack. So Rodney Mack sells that. CJ then Jake wants his assistant CJ to get him a chair, but she takes too long, and it's legitimately funny. Like, she's pretty funny with how clueless she's acting and stuff. And Rodney Mack gets the win because Jake is too distracted, so Jake gets mad at CJ, and the segment ends. And CJ made me laugh a lot, so I don't know what any of that was about. I'm pretty sure she was a new character, as in this is the first time anybody's seen her in NWA, but I hope to see her again. That was hilarious for such a dumb slapstick like idea. So not too bad. Good start here. Then we get Chelsea Green interviewed in the back. If you don't know, she's the girlfriend of Matt Cardona and has been instrumental in his heel persona and going around the world with him. She'll also wrestle and get involved, and is a big heel herself. So we got like a really heel couple going here. Chelsea Green interviewed by herself. She said she'll wait as long as it takes for Matt Cardona. Chelsea stumbles over her words a little bit here. Not the best promo, but it's all right. Also mentions that she'll take out Camille at a later date. Camille is the NWA Women's World Champion with that cool looking belt with the picture in the middle. You get, if you're the champion, you get your profile picture in the center of the title belt. I love that. That's such a cool idea. Um, which comes from like old timey. That's how it used to be back in the day. Then we get um told that Taya Valkyrie will make her debut tonight against Natalie Markova, who I've heard great things about. I think I might have seen her wrestle once, um, but I've heard great things about her, and I was interested to see if it was just for because of her looks, which she is gorgeous looking and wears skimpy outfits, or if she was actually a good wrestler. So I was excited about that one. And they mentioned Natalie Markova recently got with Taryn Terrell, who's still acting like a crazy lady. So kind of like at the end from like the dollhouse gimmick in TNA. I don't know how long Taryn Terrell's been around in NWA, but she's at least newly with Natalie Markova. And they tell us it'll be the national heavyweight title match. Big Jax Dane will defend against Chris Masters, now going by the name of Chris Adonis. And we also got Scion, which they're saying is Austin Idol's son. I'm not sure if that's legit or kayfabe, but I'm assuming it's legit. He's masked, Scion is, and he'll face Tom Lattimore. So then we get Sam Shaw making his return to NWA. They say for the first time in 4 years, Sam Shaw is here. The former Dexter Loomis, recently released from NXT about 6 weeks ago, I would say. And Sam Shaw's here, gets a pretty good reaction, and he doesn't answer any questions. Sam Shaw says silent. He's still playing the exact same character um, that he was, which he was playing that character before joining NXT too, and using the name Sam Shaw. So Sam Shaw is already known in NWA and Impact and some of the independent crowds with the name Sam Shaw. So hopefully they see big things out of him before his career's over. Not like, I don't know if he's going to be world champion, but I could see him having a good run in different companies. And that's a guy I would have loved to see, like a Sam Shaw in G1 over a Bad Luck Fale or Chase Owens. Just for example, I'm sure there's 100 guys that I would prefer to see over Sam Shaw, but I could see him getting this, maybe something like that with his good character. We got Rush Freeman interrupting, part of Ill Begotten, and Sam Shaw takes him out with the silencer. Then Sal, the crazy guy from that group of so Rush Freeman, I think, is the third guy, and Ill Begotten is the name of the stable that Father James Mitchell has. So Sal is the name of the crazy guy. He comes out to save his guy that's getting taken out by Shaw, but then Sal gets taken out with the silencer as well. But then Gags the Gimps comes out. Gags the Gimps and Sam Shaw stare each other down, and they seem to have a mutual respect of creepiness. And I note again that Gags the Gimp is extremely over with this crowd, so pretty crazy stuff in the NWA. But I wouldn't consider any of this stuff that I've seen with Gags the Gimp cringe. It's all been pretty funny. Um, then we've got Wrecking Ball and Nagurski, part of the Fixers tag team in the back. Another really big guy, just like that Rush Freeman guy. And Jack Stane, is who I meant to say, the national champion. But he's seemingly lying about the Fixers not being able to fight tonight, like he's making it completely obvious. But it's kind of entertaining in a way too, so it's not too terrible. Borderline cringe, like he's trying to act like he's lying, but he's saying his partner has a torn groin and the Fixers can't fight tonight. I didn't quite remember what match they were in, so we'll check again in on that storyline later. Now we got Austin Idol out for some commentary. I've been loving him for all these shows. Austin Idol has some pretty good old school type commentary from like the 70s and 80s. We got Big Strong Mims, who's been over with the crowd in all these 5 weeks of television shows I've been watching, and he's going to fight Tyrus for the TV title later. La Rebellion, a tag team. If you see the background I have of the stream here, they look like undead popes, but I didn't see them. They were never on TV once, and I haven't heard of them before, but they looked pretty cool, and they happen to be the NWA tag team, world tag team champions. So they're going to fight the Commonwealth Connection, which I have seen on television. It's Doug Williams and Davey Boy Smith Jr., which is Harry Smith. And then, of course, I told you the women's world title match, Camille defending against Kylan King. And the world title match was supposed to be Matt Cardona versus Nick Aldis, but probably won't happen. And spoiler alert, will not happen. We got Country Gentlemen out next for a pre-show match, so another pre-show match. But I was really liking this pre-show at one of the best pre-shows I've seen in a while, because other companies don't even tend to try, I've noticed. Joe Kazanza leads out his son AJ, so this Joe Kazanza guy, a NWA legend from the past, and he's got his tag team partner Anthony Andrews. And then Ricky Morton with his son Kerry Morton is out next. I looked it up. This is one of the things I looked up. Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. 65-year-old Ricky Morton and his son Kerry Morton out next to a big pop, so they're going to be in this match. They said this is where the Fixers were supposed to be, and it was supposed to be a triple threat. So the Fixers are replaced by the ill-begotten, I think they were ill-begotten Jeremiah and Alex Taylor, which maybe that means the Father James. It either means the Father James Mitchell has more than 3 people, or I'm mixing up ill-begotten with the is not in fact the name of the. So these are all things I'm gonna have to research in the future. So look in on my next NWA Power review later this week. But yeah, 65-year-old Ricky Morton is currently the ECW television champion. I think he won it in GCW. So this man has been like active. He's not just coming in. They got Danny Deals, who I've noticed is an amazing manager who's hilarious. So thanks for that. Ill Begotten is the Deadly Deals manager. And then do you know the stable name for the Father James Mitchell group? That's what I was trying to figure out. So they were pretty funny. And so miserable faith here, or miserably faithful. That's a cool name. And are you enjoying the Gags the Gimp stuff that as much as I've been enjoying it lately? Because that kind of came out of nowhere, but it's pretty hilarious that he's like getting cheered by the crowd. Anyway, we get so this match is indeed going to be a triple threat. So now we find out that Ill Begotten is this team, Jeremiah and Alex Taylor. They're going to take the Fixers spot. And oh yeah, thanks. And it's going to be one of those triple threat tag team matches where they have 3 men in the ring at the same time. I think that's always a better way to do it than if Gags is fine that Jen and the Max need a new character. Okay, so I don't even know what part of my gimmick of watching this show for what I wanted to do with the review is I didn't want to review anything, but I enjoyed everything I watched. I watched the last 5 weeks of programming all yesterday. I binged it, and then I watched the pay-per-view today, and really enjoyed it all. And just getting through the pre-show here, I enjoyed the pre-show a lot too. This match was really good. Like I said, 3 men in the ring at once instead of just tagging in and having 2 in the ring. Ricky Morton was looking good for his age. Um, I looked it up again. I'm 36. Ricky Morton debuted when my parents were still in high school. So that's how long Ricky Morton's been wrestling. Really good match. Great way to prep for the main show. And the Mortons get the win for a huge reaction. So that'll end the pre-show. And we go right ahead into the first match of the main show. And it's Aaron Stevens, the former Damian Sandow, for what he said, quote unquote, is his swan song, his retirement match. But they're kind of all making it out to believe that oh, you've seen everyone. So I've now only seen 5. What do I want to know? I'll let you know if there's anything that comes up. So Aaron Stevens is out next. It pretty much seems like it's going to be not his final match, and especially the ending of this match tells you that it's not. But he has a pretty good promo later on, but we'll see how this plays out. So if you've ever wanted, so this is what I liked about NWA, all the different, like, it's kind of weird to call it dream matches. They're not really dream matches, but it's like really weird scenarios. Like, have you ever wondered if Damian Sandow fought Trevor Murdoch, even though they were both in WWE, but at different times, like what that match would be like? So that's kind of cool what you get out of NWA. And I like all the independent talent they've got as well, the youngsters. But Trevor Murdoch's out next. Not as big a reaction as I expected, but still pretty over with the crowd. And they say he's been undefeated for months, Trevor has. And I do know that he is a former NWA world champion. And they said Stevens ended Murdoch's national championship reign back in 2022. So Aaron Stevens and Trevor Murdoch have a little bit of history here. We get Murdoch with a big shot to Stevens to set the tone right at the beginning of the match. Decent enough match. Doesn't get very much length, though. It kind of ends prematurely in a really, really weird spot. I don't know if I've ever seen this spot before, but weirdly, it's not the only time we see this spot tonight. So Aaron Stevens goes on the top rope. It looks like he's trying to do maybe a top rope shoulder tackle or something, a clothesline, and his laces or something, his boot gets caught on the top turnbuckle, and Stevens falls flat on his face. Oh, Stevens lost the national championship to Murdoch. So those two with a big rivalry over the national title in the past. Looking to be Aaron Stevens' retirement match. Stevens has one of the weirdest spots I've ever seen, the fall flat on his face off the top rope. And pretty much soon after that, Murdoch with a top rope bulldog wins the match. So like I said, it kind of seemed weird that Aaron Stevens was acting weird about it this whole time, so I doubt he's actually retiring. But with the trip and everything, probably won't retire. Stevens grabs the mic and says, "You're welcome," and leaves. So, like I said, that's not the last we'll see of Aaron Stevens tonight, and pretty interesting. Oh, what I do need to know is he married to that May announcer girl? Because I was confused about that promo later on where I think her name is May. She's the announcer girl. Is she like his old manager? Is that his girlfriend? Is that Aaron Stevens' wife? But he basically says that he wants to take her to Brazil, and she seems all happy about it. So that's one question I've definitely got. But while he types that out, potentially, we got the women's tag titles next. The challengers are pretty. Their name is the Pretty Empowered. They've got really great matching outfits, and like I said, I'm not quite sure if it was Kenzie Page was the only hometown hero, or if both Kenzie Page and Ella Envy were both from Knoxville, but hometown heroes nonetheless. They were definitely over. Um, okay, so not a couple, but just been established as friends. Okay, thanks for that. I was like, is that his wife? I was a little confused, but women's tag titles are next. The challengers are out to a really big reception from the hometown heroes. reception. The Hex music I thought sounded a little bit like House of Black in AEW, which is definitely not a bad thing. So that's Allison Kay and Marty Bell. I'm pretty sure they both wrestled at the same time in Impact because I think I remember Allison Kay being the heavy for the Dollhouse. I could be wrong on that, but I think Allison Kay was there, and then Marty Bell turned on Allison Kay and Taryn Terrell at a point with Mia Yim, who's back in Impact Wrestling now. So we could see Mia Yim in NWA. I don't know if we have yet, but that could be a potential thing. The Mia Yim comeback to NWA. But the champs also have matching colors, not matching outfits like the Pretty Empowered though. Really hype match, really good pace to it. The crowd's liking it, and it gets a pretty good length. Like pretty much all the matches tonight got a pretty good length. There really wasn't anything that was under 10 minutes or seemed super. There was nothing that seemed, oh, that was too short, or then I wish they would have got too much, or I wish they would have got a little extra time. So good pacing to all the matches tonight, and this one had a good reaction from the crowd. Low blow by Ella at the end. I think that's her name, Ella Envy, and it seems like it might be a heel turn. I don't know, and it seems like Kenzie Page did not see the cheating. So this reminds me. I know it's been done a lot of storylines been done in wrestling, but just recently in NXT UK, the Mustache Mountain storyline with Trent Seven kind of turning heel and being more desperate while either not being seen or not liking it by Tyler Bates. So it looks like we might have that storyline going on here. But we do have new tag team champions, and it is the Pretty Empowered. Oh, so Ella's always been a heel, so it's not out of character for her to turn heel here potentially, or maybe she wasn't even really a face to begin with. So big reaction from the crowd despite the unhonorable title win. And these two will get brought up again, which was a good promo later on. So I will be talking about Pretty Empowered a little bit later. We've got the junior heavyweight title matches next. And this is my first look at TJ Hawks. I've never even heard the name TJ Hawks in my life. And Homicide I've seen for over 15 years. So I was excited for this. Like I was saying, Homicide had a few title defenses on television in the last 5 weeks. So he's been putting in the work. Looks just his normal self. I would love to see Homicide in the AEW Blood and Guts here in my hometown of Detroit, Michigan. I think Homicide with Santana and Ortiz and Kingston with maybe one other guy. I don't know which one you want to put in there with him. Maybe Moxley if he's available, but he's looks like to be going for the championship. So I don't know if he's going to be available. So anyway, Hawks has great gear, really shiny. It looks like one of those like rare Michael Jordan rookie cards. So I'm loving the gear from TJ Hawks just right off the bat. And I'm getting a little bit of, obviously PJ Hawks can work better than Mikey Whipwreck, but I'm getting Mikey Whipwreck vibes from him. So PJ Hawks, and yeah, we do get a Luke Hawks. I thought Luke Hawks was his brother. So apparently Luke Hawks is his dad, and they're called Hawks Airy. So I thought Luke Hawks, who came out later, was his brother for sure. That's pretty funny. So TJ Hawks must be like super young, 18, 19, 20, somewhere along those ways. But I was definitely liked what I saw at TJ Hawks. Not a ton of report blow by blow, but I would recommend going to go watch this match and the match right after. Hawks kicks out of a cutter at one point, but then the Gringo Killer ends the match. Pretty nasty. It folded. Oh my God. PJ Hawks got folded in half. I thought he was a goner. Like, that was nasty. If you guys don't know what the Gringo Killer is, it's the Kudo Driver, the Vertebreaker, the Dude Buster, Strong Zero. So one of the most dangerous moves, other than the Steiner Screwdriver, in all of wrestling, in my opinion. But I'm sure it was safe, but it just looked nasty because PJ Hawks got folded in half. We got Jay Bradley and Wrecking Ball and Nagurski out next. Jay Bradley's the one that Wrecking Ball and Nagurski said that was injured his groin, and now the Fixers can't be in their match, but they seem to be fine here, shockingly. And the Fixers come down to beat down both. Here's where Luke Hawks comes to make the save. I said, and I even wrote down here, that must be TJ's brother, but apparently that's his dad. And they're a tag team. I would definitely like to see one of their matches together. I would love to see them fight the Mysterios now that we're talking about. Oh, and then I guess you could throw the Mortons in there too. So some great stuff. And I don't know if Steve Corino and Colby Corino ever tagged, but I do know they had an epic match against each other. And you'll see why I bring that up really soon here. So Luke Hawx makes the save, but quickly gets beaten down, and then the Mortons make the real save. So Jay Bradley, Wrecking Ball, and Nagurski are really big, so they were way bigger than. Also, they're Colby Carino's heavies, the enforcers of Colby Carino. So that all makes even more sense now. And now that you mentioned, I remember seeing them on television together. Colby Carino's out now, and apparently you might have to answer this question too. He had some kind of money in the bank reason. They do say what it was, but I didn't want to rewind and see what they said because it didn't mean anything to me. Colby Carino comes out and basically cashes in his money in the bank opportunity at the junior heavyweight title. And so yeah, that match is going to be now. So Homicide just had a grueling match against TJ Hawx, and then the much bigger, by like double his size, Fixers come out with the beatdown. Colby Carino's now out, says he wants his title shot, gets his title shot. So Homicide's like already out of it. This is where they remind us that they had been saying this on TV as well, that Colby Carino or I mean, not just Colby, but the Carinos in general, Colby and his dad Steve, have a huge rivalry with Homicide, especially in the past with Steve Carino almost losing his hearing thanks to Homicide. And at a point, we get a huge apron shot to Homicide's head, which was pretty crazy. And a brawl outside. Colby gets draped on the stage. That was pretty crazy. So some good stuff out of this. Again, Homicide wrestling his second match in a row. Oh, so there was a tournament a year ago. 5 wrestlers on the team. Hope and Velvet all have one championship opportunity of their choice. Oh, so this is the long-term booking right here. So he's been waiting for the perfect opportunity Colby Carino has. So huge, like I said, the Colby was draped on the stage. Colby gets folded in half. Oh, so Colby's the one that gets folded in half by the Gringo Killer. I was mistaken. It was not TJ Hawk. It was Colby. In this match, just gets absolutely folded in half by the Gringo Killer. And my God, so I've seen Colby Carino fight a few matches. He's really small, but what he has is heart. He does play the heel character, but he also has like the heart of a warrior to kick out of ridiculous things that someone his size probably shouldn't be kicking out of. So this mistaken TJ Hawx didn't get folded in half. Colby Carino did. The match kind of slows down at this point. A lot of trash talking by Homicide, which is funny. And then we get a clothesline from Hell, and Homicide pins Colby Carino and wins. So I did not see that coming. I didn't know the whole story, but for Colby Carino to lose this match, that just is not good. I don't know where they go from there. Maybe he tries a face run because he has the ability to be a face if he shows that kind of heart. But my God, he's normally a cheater. Yeah, well, I'm just saying he seemed like he kind of had the heart to kick out of things, the resiliency anyway. I could see him being a babyface in the future, but holy crap, they apparently don't want Colby to have the title because um Colby had every advantage possible and still lost. Clean. We've got Jenna dash side. I don't even know if that's something I can say on YouTube. Kind of a weird name, but I've seen her on TV before. She has a good look to her. I was definitely getting it looked like almost Chris Statlander kind of stole some of her turquoise and black gimmicks. But she looks like a cyborg and also a really big powerhouse. So she's backstage, Jenna is, and she's really mad that she's not on the card. She's mad that Markova got a match and she's gonna hunt her down and then move on to I think for the title. And then the announcer woman May's like hilariously is like, yeah, I don't think Markova should be booked on the card over you either. So that was pretty hilarious. So that is Jenna Von Muscles. I have not seen her before, but her look is amazing. So I'm definitely excited to see. They've definitely got some big women in this women's division in NWA, which is really cool. So But yeah, I thought it was really funny that May was like agreeing with Jenna here. So that was showed some good character from the announcer. We got Taya Valkyrie out next. If you guys don't know, she is currently the triple. I think she's the AAA Women's Champion, but she has been multiple times. She's married to Johnny Morrison, and she'll be wrestling here against Natalie Markova, who's with Taryn Terrell. And I'm just gonna, before I get into the match, I don't know if maybe they were just good at getting me to feel like it's still real to me. Damn it, maybe they were making me a mark and making me just feel things because they were working me. It's either that or Taya Valkyrie did not think she should lose this match. Taya Valkyrie was mad that she was going to lose this match. How you dare you have the AAA champion come in and lose to a non-champion on your pay-per-view? So I'm assuming Taya Valkyrie was pissed. So been in lockdown. Jenna's tall and strong. Yeah, she got a great look. But here it looked like Ty. I don't know if I was just being a mark and being still real to me, damn it. But I think Ty Valkyrie went into business for herself. It looked dangerous. It looked unprofessional. I'll get into it. And like I said, they might just be really good at working me, and I'm being marked. So we'll get into it. Taya crushes Markova with a crossbody right off the bat. Markova is a lot smaller than Taya. Taya is almost, I'm not gonna say twice her size, but Markova is a lot smaller than I ever figured she would. Like I've said, I think I might have seen her wrestle in only one match, but I've heard a lot of things. She's got basically wearing lingerie bottoms, and she's got a good look to her, but again, kind of small. We'll see what she's got here. I will say by the end of the match, she showed a lot of heart, so definitely something with Markova here. Markova gains control, but then did like a sexy cat crawl, so that got her back out of control. But then there's a spankings go back and forth. So then I'm like, what kind of match is this going to be? But then it turns into a lot of. So NWA doesn't need to get news because Taya's loss was due to cheating by McCorn. Doesn't make her look bad. True, and I thought that too, but I think Taya still was mad because I think she went into business for herself. To me, it looked like Taya Valkyrie wanted to knock Markova unconscious so that she didn't have to get pinned. That's I could be getting worked on that, but to me, it looked like Taya wanted to knock her unconscious so she didn't have to get pinned. And let's get into it a little bit more after the spanking spots. We get into a serious match where once Markova might have kicked out a little late, the ref had to stop his count, which was a little botch. We get a baseball slide that didn't slide. It kind of looked like her big booty stopped the slide from happening, so that was kind of funny. Taryn shoots a nasty look to Taya after the nastiest headshot from the apron to the outside. There's no padding on the outside. It didn't look like it was pure concrete. It might have been wooden. It might have been a little bit safer than just concrete, but it definitely harkened back to my mind of. It reminded me of the nasty DDT that took Ricky Steamboat out of action when Jake the Snake gave him too stiff of a DDT on concrete. So this is the point in time where I'm talking about it. Kind of, maybe I'm just being worked, but it looked like Taya was really nasty with this spot, and it is unnecessary. And I don't, if it wasn't, if it was part of the story and they were trying to do it this hard or whatever, that's just unprofessional in my opinion too. Even if they both agreed to it, because there's no doubt in my mind Markova is concussed from this match. She looked concussed by the end of this match. And right after this happens, so nasty headshot on the outside, and Taryn shoots a look at Taya, like, are you serious? Like, um, if they're gonna do those kind of spots on the outside, at least have a tiny little bit of padding. That's all I'm saying, because we all know how big concussions are and how bad concussions are. Not to be that guy, but I'm just saying it. And I don't know. I'm not gonna say it that it was 100% or even 50%, but maybe Taya went into business for herself, trying to knock this woman unconscious so she didn't have to get pinned. Just throwing it out there. Anyway, Markova continues to kick out, showing lots of heart. There's a finisher, but then Taryn distracts. Markova looks completely out of it, completely concussed, but gets the win. And there was, of course, like Taryn Terrell helped her win with the decision and stuff. So Natalie Markova is bleeding out of her mouth, looks concussed, and Markova poses in the ring real quick, but Taya hasn't left the ring yet. And as soon as Taya like moves a little bit closer to Markova, there's a legit look of fear in Markova's face that she thought maybe Taya was gonna knee her right in the fucking mouth. So something about this was off to me. If all of what I saw and what I think is true, screw Taya Valkyrie. I don't ever want to see her in any card ever again. And really, I could care less if I ever see her again in my life. So I'm not a fan of Taya Valkyrie. I wasn't really a huge fan coming into this, but this to me just looked unprofessional. No pads. The TV studios can't roll on the camera. True. But if you don't have the pads, I wouldn't be doing spots like this. Markova, in my mind, it was completely concussed out of her mind, and that's not good. Let's move on from that. The next match is Chris Adonis, the former masterpiece Chris Masters, versus Jax Dane, and Jax Dane is the reigning NWA National Heavyweight Champion, and Jax Dane is actually way bigger than Chris Adonis, both height and weight wise. But Masterpiece does look great, maybe a little bit less weight than at his height and his peak, but he's got a good look, a good outfit. He's got an HBK type vest on, which was cool. Kind of bad hair, but whatever. Jack Stain, like I said, taller, bigger. So another, this is going to be a big hoss battle. We got a lot of test of strength type stuff, and then we got out of nowhere a Master Lock challenge. So they got the chair and everything. Dane sits down in the chair. They put the Master Lock on him. Ty brought him to his side. Yeah, true. They have a lot of big women. So they wanted to put over that Ty is a killer in this match, but whoever's decision was to do that and give Natalia Markova a concussion is an idiot. We all saw that concussions are like the worst possible thing that happen, other than death. It might not it's not one of those things like a Big E neck injury where he's out for a year, but you get concussions that rack up over time and your life expectancy goes down like by 20 years. Like I hope and pray that Mick Foley can be around for another 20 years, but I don't know if he will. Anyway, sorry to be a little bit down on that. But we got a big hoss match here. It's for the national heavyweight title of NWA. And this is when I noted NWA is a legit and full heavyweight division with a lot of super heavyweights involved as well. So that's something you don't get a lot of in 2022. And as someone that grew up watching 1992 WWF was my current stuff. So that's basically the only kind of matches I was getting at that time. These guys do those kind of matches way better than they were in 1992. A lot more agility and strength and not taking steroids. So definitely, if you're into that kind of stuff, this is for you. Master Lock Challenge, like I said, they brought the chair in. Dane's sitting on the chair. Immediately, once he sits up and the referee's putting the chair out of the ring, this was brilliant. Dane does a low blow to get out of the Master Lock, and that was pretty hilarious. So Adonis at one point, I think, also gets put into the Master Lock himself, but that just fires him down, fires him up. I mean, we get the low down, the sit down power bomb from Adonis, which was kind of cool to see. 2.5 out of that. But then we get the Master Lock applied again, but it spills to the outside. The Master Lock does not break. Dane eventually wins with heel tactics and a huge lariat to retain the title. Enjoyable match. I might be biased because I've always been a big Chris Masters fan. I can remember the height of my popularity for Chris Masters. Let's go back to the night where Edge cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase at New Year's Revolution. But right before that was the Elimination Chamber match where I wanted Chris Masters to beat John Cena for the title so badly. But that's not what we got. But what we did get was even better. So that one turned out good. Although Edge lost the title like weeks later, so that was trash. Anyway, we go to the back, and this is what I was talking about. Oh, we got an update on Jax, and world's heavyweight champion back in 15, 16. Yeah, Jax Dane, he's got to be what, at least. He looks like he was bigger than Tyrus. Is he bigger than Tyrus? Maybe not. Tyrus looks like he's pushing about 400 pounds nowadays. but at least height wise and width from shoulder to shoulder, he's about as big as Tyrus. We got this is the one with the Aaron Stevens is in the back with May, and he said he started training, got trained by Killer Kowalski. His dream is to always win the world title, but he never got it, but yet he still wants to retire. He gave it everything he got nothing back. It's time to go. And this is where he says to May, "Let's go to Brazil." She's really happy. She wants to go to Brazil with him, and Tyrus is 375, significantly taller than Jax. So Jax isn't quite on Tyrese's level, but level of Tyrese is he's one of the biggest wrestlers in the entire world. So that's not like saying too much. But he wanted to put Aaron Stevens, that is, wanted to win the world title and put it on Killer Kowalski's grave, but he never could, and now he's going to retire. So I don't know where this is going to go, but I doubt this is the last we'll see of Aaron Stevens. I've been saying it before that I want Aaron Stevens to grow his beard just a little bit and re-sign with the WWE for just a brief period, because the stupid Ezekiel gimmick they got going on Raw with Elias, I think there's literally no end that they could possibly do other than just having Elias eventually say yes, or having Ezekiel say, "Yes, I'm Elias." But before that, I think you could bring Damian Sandow back in to kind of do the Miz'd out type stuff and have him act like he's Elias. And then everybody's just like, "Oh, hey, Elias, good to see you. How you been?" And Damian Sandow could be Elias for like a month or something. So maybe that's what we'll get. Maybe that's why Aaron Stevens is retiring and he'll be back in NWA in a couple months. In the meantime, I doubt that, but that's what I want to see, because there's no other thing they could do with the Ezekiel gimmick. Next one we got Cyon. I think it's how you pronounce it, Cyon, and this is the one they've been saying is Austin Idol's son. I didn't look it up to see if he was legitimately Austin Idol's son, but I'll just assume he is. And he's gonna fight against Tom Latimer. So second straight big hoss battle, big super heavyweight / heavyweight battle. Cyon has like and Stevens is working as a TV actor. Oh yeah, yeah. So they got the same schedule as TNA does as well, with the once a month. But yeah, Cyon, he's a masked wrestler. He comes out kind of looking like Mil Mascaras. I don't know if he had it tonight, but on NWA Power, I definitely saw this Cyon guy with Mil Mascaras' silver cape. So that was pretty funny. It seems like Cyon just recently turned heel on one of the last episodes of Power, and now he's joined his father's idol, sports management. So, but it did seem like he was a face before that. So now we've got, and I'm also kind of unsure if Tom Lattimore is face or heel either. The only thing I knew about him coming into it was that he's Camille's husband and Camille's heel, but it also seemed like the crowd likes Tom Lattimore, so I wasn't sure if Lattimore was face or heel. And I went through this entire match, bro. No joke. This entire match, all 5 of those episodes of Power in USA, and I looked at this man, Tom Latimer, and I've acted like I had never seen him in my entire life. And I'm guessing because he doesn't want people to know he's Bram, the old Bram, the one that was gotten all the allegations against him when he was dating Charlotte. So, oh my gosh, I went through all those episodes and this entire match here. It was in the main event when he got on the microphone to speak, where I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Bram. So Thomas Lattimore is Bram. I'm unsure if he's face or heel, but he's associated with Camille, his real life wife, and they want to be the pop. Camille's been talking all like for weeks about how she wants to be the power couple champion with Tom Latimer. So that's the story there. And if you guys don't know, Bram was associates with Magnus and all the way back in Impact, and they do tell us that they used to be a tag team here as well, but then Latimer turned on Nick Aldis. So I'm guessing he's just a heel. So I don't even know why I'm asking that question. So this guy, he's been in the business for himself since the start, really been neutral. So kind of finally showed his true colors, but wasn't anything before that. So kind of a cool character. I'm guessing he is legitimately Austin Idol's son. He's got some pretty good, another big super heavyweight almost, or at least a legitimate heavyweight. I keep saying super heavyweight because that's in like 2022. A heavyweight is like 235. When like in reality a heavyweight should be like 260, at least 250. But we're talking 250 and above here in NWA. This was so this match was all right, and so it's only kayfabe, kid. I thought maybe they definitely made it sound like I was definitely getting JR making fun of King for having Brian Christopher out there vibes, which made me think it might have been real, but kayfabe on that one. So Cyan, like I said, looks like Mil Mascaris. He's throwing chairs on the outside, throwing a temper tantrum, but his daddy, Austin Idol, calms him down. I laughed at that. Like, oh my gosh, this guy's like looking like a joke out there. Um, basically this is a decent Triple H style, like slow power, technical brawl and walk type match. Not for everyone, but they did that type of match good. No complaints there. We got a Cyan with a big dive to the outside, which was cool for his size. And then Latimer with the sit down power bomb, pretty much out of nowhere after being dominated for a little bit. Sit down power bomb the win, and Thomas Lattimore is your winner. So not the last we'll see of him tonight. Spoiler alert. Pretty good match. And like I said, I did not realize it was Bram at this point. Tyrus defends the NWA TV title next against Big Strong Mims. Mims is definitely over with the crowd, and he seems to have a injured or banged up left arm slash shoulder. So that should be the story of this match. Mims, despite being big and strong, Tyrus is probably double his size, legitimately double his size. So we'll see how this match goes. Third straight big hoss type match. Tyrus, like we established in the pre-show, Black G's is going to represent him through a deal between the church money and Idol Sports Management. So Mims is full of fire right off the start. Quickly on Tyrus. Tyrus, this is where I know it looks to be close to 400 pounds at this point. It's a big boy. Maybe a foot taller than Mims as well. So Mims is just literally biting Tyrus just to stay alive because he's kind of getting dominated at the beginning here. But right after that, Mims hits his injured arm into the post. So that turns the tide. But a little bit later, Mims does slam Tyrus. It didn't look the best, but it also didn't look the worst either. So Mims slams Tyrus to a big response splash into a pin, only for a 2. Mims is trying his best, but the size difference is just way too much, especially for someone with an injured arm slash shoulder. So, excuse me, Tyrus does retain, and then he shakes Mims' hand, but nobody was buying it. And quickly he beats up Mims. And Black G's gets in the ring and continues to stomp on the injured arm and shoulder, and nobody came to help Mims, which is kind of weird. Mims seems like a guy that would have a lot of friends in the locker room. So then we go to La Rebellion. I did not see La Rebellion once. I have not seen them at all ever in my life, or at least I thought, because once they did come out, it looked like one of them was Damien 666's son, who I have seen in MLW, which I'm assuming they're probably a tag team in MLW as well. And they also come out here not only with the NWA World Tag Team titles, but the TNT titles that they said they won in London. So Mims started on Power in 18 as enhancement talent. Yeah, I could definitely tell he was definitely some of the one of the youngest kids there. Although I did see a 21-year-old on one of the Power shows who looked like very promising. It wasn't Mims, but he looked even younger than Mims, and he had a good match. So they do have a lot of good talent. They must have. Do they have Dr. Tom training people, or was he just here tonight because they were in Knoxville? Because I know Dr. Tom's probably one of the best trainers in the world. He helped train The Rock. He helped train Kurt Angle. Of course, 2 blue chip athletes, but also you got to give a little bit of credit to someone like Dr. Tom for 2 of the people that started out like really fast in their career. Anyway, La Rebellion, they look like, just from their picture on the little preview, looked like they were really cool. So they look like undead popes in the picture, but then they come out looking like Demolition, the tag team Demolition from WWF. So really cool. And this is when I realized one of them is Damien 666. I couldn't understand what they said for the other name. Dr. Tom, Austin Idol, Ricky Morton, and George South. Wow. And George South is one of the preeminent um trainers of all time, in my opinion. So rich history here in the NWA. I'm sure they also got people dropping by at any given point um, from the NWA past to give pointers too. So good to hear. They definitely got a good training system here. They must have a really good women's trainer as well because they've got a great women's division. Maybe okay. So Mecha Wolf was the 666 guy, the Damien 666 son that I've seen in MLW before. So this Mecha Wolf guy, he reminded me of a little bit of mix of Vampiro and Connor from the Ascension, which was a funny mix if you think about it. He looked pretty cool. I wasn't quite sure if he was Mexican, but it looked like the other guy, 666, was definitely Mexican. But they were built from Mexico, La Rebellion. And like I said, came out looking like Demolition. They got 2 different tag team titles with them. And after this match is all said and done, they definitely seem like they are reminiscent of the Young Bucks. So they are definitely reminiscent of the Young Bucks, reminiscent of the Lucha Brothers. So if your wrestling is like compared to those two, you definitely are a great tag team. Lots of high spots in this match. A good match to have on the card. But they were also wrestling 2 technical wrestlers. It's the Commonwealth Connection. 2 guys I know very well. It's Doug Williams, who definitely is advanced in age, but looks great, in great shape. And he was teaming with Harry Smith, the British Bulldog Jr., second generation. Yeah, so he basically looks exactly like his dad. And what was I saying? So so Harry Smith is out with Doug Williams. They're the Commonwealth Connection. They're still friendly with Nick Aldis. So that's Nick Aldis's little team or whatever. I'm assuming at one point maybe they were also associated with Tom Latimer, who's no longer associated with them. And the crowd really is into Commonwealth Connection. So this looks like to be a clash of styles, which always leads to a great match. And it is a great match. This is one of my favorite matches on the show. Great tag team wrestling. It's back and forth. Harry Smith's with some great power spots. Lucha Libre from Rebellion, and then Doug Williams can definitely still go at his age. At some point, Doug Williams looks like he broke his nose, and there was a lot of blood pouring out of that, but he toughs it out. We get a big tag team move. Harry has to come in to break it. Then we get the Young Bucks double knee trigger by Rebellion. And then immediately after that, an insane double team, which they say is their finisher. It's a muscle buster by one of the members, and then a 450 knee splash by the other. And somehow Doug Williams kicks out of this after already having a broken nose before that, the double knee trigger, and then this crazy double team move, where then the announcers tell us that move has never been kicked out of by anybody. So that was pretty crazy and unexpected. And not too long after that, the Commonwealth wins. So we got new tag team champions in a great match here. So we got a report here. Aldis and Williams were tag teaming in NWA at the Crockett Cup pay-per-view. Aldis challenged for the NWA title, world title. So Williams selected Harry as his new tag team partner. So that's pretty cool. And so they pick up the win here. Commonwealth are your new tag team champions in a really good match. I hope to see more of La Rebellion throughout any company in the world, because they look like they could really go. Apparently May had not left to Brazil with Aaron Stevens yet, because she's still in the back. She's interviewing Kylan King, who I mentioned earlier. I really fell in love with Kylan King during all the AEW Dark and Dark Elevation. Especially, I was really into her 6-man tag team she performed with Swole and Red Velvet, where Kylan King was like way taller than them, and then like came out dancing with them. But it was a cool look because they were so much smaller. But really, I have not seen her in a long time in AEW, and apparently, one of the reasons is she's big here in AEW, or not. My apologies, here in NWA. and getting a title shot here. And we've got Bully Ray, the Bubba Ray is out on commentary. I'm 100% sure he said he trained Kylan King, but I think he also trained Camille. So good to have the both trainers. He trained both women in this title match. So Bully Ray in commentary, and he actually sat on the edge of the announce table, and where it just happened to be the camera was set just right so that you could actually watch Bully Ray's face throughout a lot of this match and just watch him like being proud of a couple of his favorite students. So that's a really good touch to this match. I don't think it was intentional. I think that was unintentional. But hey, maybe not. Maybe somebody thought, hey, if we put Bully Ray here, that we can get his reactions. So Um, Camille is the champion. Like I said, she's got the championship belt that has the little picture in the middle, which I love. One of the best titles in the world for that little fact. I love little gimmicks like that. Um, so yeah, they were both officially confirmed Bully Ray's students, and that's what I got out of this match. And it was great to watch Bully Ray's facial reactions on camera while you also got to watch the match. So really nice touch there. I've seen Camille for over a year on Twitter because I think she looks amazing. However, I have never once watched a Camille match in my life, so I was excited for that. And when they both came out, they looked to be about the same size. Maybe Camille had a few more pounds on Kylan King. Maybe Kylan King had about 1 inch height advantage, but both of these women over 6 foot, I believe, or at least 6 foot, both work out and look very strong. So this is going to be a powerhouse match. And from what um, uh, Dead over here has been saying, he said that the women's division has a lot of big powerhouse women and looking to bring even more, and that's why Taya Valkyrie's around. So they've definitely established themselves as having really good heavyweights in the men's and women's division. Like I said, I was excited for this, and I would love to watch either of these two women versus Jade Cargill in AEW. That would be a great match. Camille is the champion, establishes that she's a heel right away, in case you didn't know. And I think they say she's been champion for over a year. And if I'm not mistaken, did she win the title from Serena Deeb? Because I remember it was either Serena Deeb or Thunder Rosa had the NWA title on AEW Dynamite. So this one is based on the original Mildred Burke title from 37 that had the photo in the middle. Yeah, one of my favorite titles in the entire world for that little fact. I love that they did that. It would kind of be awkward if it was. I mean, I guess I wouldn't like it as much if it was like a picture of Bully Ray and Bully Ray's holding the title like for the men, but it works better for the women for sure. But correct me if I'm wrong. Over a year as champion, and did she win the title from Serena Deeb? I think that might be the case because I think I saw Serena Deeb with the women's title on AEW Dynamite. But I'll get into the match a little bit later. Maybe he's going to answer that question. Another Hoss battle, this time in women form. We get a nasty lariat that takes out Kylan King towards the beginning. We got a lot of back and forth power moves and strikes. This is when I noticed that Kylan is really good at striking. Definitely a part of her game that she prides herself on. We had a cool dive to the outside drop kick by Kylan through like the middle and bottom rope. So here's the answer I was looking for. Thunder Rosa was defeated by Serena Deeb at the UWN primetime. Camille then defeated Thunder Rosa for the number one contender, and Camille then defeated Deeb. So we've got a good triple threat rivalry going there. I would love to go back and watch those matches. So that's something I might do for sure. Now that I've finally seen Camille wrestle, which I will say her deep voice and southern accent threw me off on one of those NWA powers. She does not. I don't know what I thought she was going to sound like, but that wasn't it. But doesn't make me like her any less. She is a heel, of course, so she's supposed to be a little bit unlikable. Like I said, back and forth power moves both ways. Love that. Good back and forth. You don't know really who's gonna win. I kind of was feeling that Kylan King was gonna win this match tonight. Uh, we but Camille keeps kicking out of all these strikes and big moves. We get a Camille torture rack at a point and looks to be close to winning, but then we go back to a little bit more back and forth. And Bully Ray says he's proud. And if you kept looking over at his face while he watched the match, that you could see his face, he was definitely proud. So we get a frog splash from Kylan. Camille kicks out of that as well, so she's just kicking out of everything. Then we get a nasty Camille spear out of nowhere, and she retains her title. I thought this match was great, and I thought both. I think WWE is going to want to sign both these women, so um, hopefully they stick in the NWA for a little bit longer. I don't want to see them on NXT 2.0 getting a gimmick of um, a barber or something. So AEW would probably be better if they were to go for more money, but definitely NWA. I hope they stick here. They looks like they've got a great women's division going. Now I'm okay with. I always was wondering for months now, why haven't I been seeing Kylan King? Well, if she's doing good things over here and creating a nice women's division over here on NWA, um, that's just as good. So um, I thought Kylan was going to win, but maybe she will at a later date. There could definitely be something going on a little bit later on. Comes in the ring, congratulates both women. Um, I thought two major stars in the making here, so or maybe already stars. Match is over with everyone in the arena. So all of a sudden, Max the Impaler comes out and they try to take out Camille. I've seen I've seen her on TV at least once in these last 5 weeks. Tends to keep growing NWA. I don't think his Stapletown is going to be out. So yeah, hopefully not. I don't want to see Camille being a barber in NXT 2.0. So, like I said, Maxine Impaler's out, and they try to take out Camille, but security breaks it up. Camille's not backing down whatsoever. I was a little worried that for some reason they were going to be like, "Oh, let's start another match," and then Max was going to win right there. But I'm glad that didn't happen. So, but that sets up your next feud for Camille, seemingly. And next out, like I said, Tom Pritchard came out and he mentions that he was really proud of the new women's tag team champions. He trained them right here in Knoxville 3.5 years ago. So 3.5 years in the business for those two, it looks like, maybe trained at the exact same time. Then we've got a really good segment. So it's time for the main event. Matt Cardona comes out. He's got his arm in a sling. Everybody in the building knows that he's not going to be able to wrestle. He's got Chelsea Green, Mike Knox, and VSK with him. No Brian Myers. And Cardona has a really passionate promo, borderline face. He still said heel things in it, but you could almost kind of get behind Cardona with what he was saying here. But then, of course, Matt Cardona says he wants to change the dumb-looking NWA title. He had already pre-planned some Cardona side plates to put on it and stuff like that. Billy Corgan comes out and has an awkward conversation that we can't hear. Anything is going on. So Billy Corgan's talking to Cardona, but we have no idea what's going on. Nick Aldis comes out. He said his back's killing him from carrying the NWA for 5 years. He calls Cardona. So this is where we go into a worked shoot here, and I think it's done really well. Like, I know a lot of people say the work shoots are overplayed. Sure, maybe they were overplayed in year 2000 WCW, where you got a work shoot twice a week, but here and there a work shoot can work wonders. And I thought this whole segment was great. So of course this whole pay-per-view is put on in Matt Cardona's honor. He's got the always ready. He's got the Z capitalized with the R, with the Zack Ryder ZR. He's fronting on the cover. He's the new NWA champion, and he gets injured because he's in like way too many promotions. Instead of wrestling like 10, 15 matches a month, Cardona was on like a 20, 25 wrestling a month. Or I don't know if those are exact numbers, but he was wrestling a lot, ended up getting hurt. Unfortunate. Looks like it'll be maybe a 5-month injury, something along those lines. He's already had surgery, and so let's get back to this. Like I said, Nick Aldis comes out. He said his back's killing him from carrying the NWA for 5 years. He calls Cardona an ex-WWE parasite. He said he conned his way all the way to the title by showing Billy Corgan, look at all the Twitter followers I have and all the views, and so basically saying probably legitimately what happened. That's probably all true. That Cardona got his spot because he's like, hey, look how popular I am. So all of that's pretty much true, which makes a work shoot like good. He brings all this brings up how Harley Race had his last recorded interview saying Nick Aldis and is making NWA great again. Basically, I don't remember exactly what he says, but that was impactful. He says Cardona isn't good enough wrestler to be champion of the NWA, so bringing up like thinking that he's all character, not really a good wrestler. We got Trevor Murdoch out now, and the announcers say he's got an old rematch clause that he never used from when he lost the title, which I thought okay, but then that becomes a little bit after the two more people come out and they make it a four-way match. It kind of makes you didn't have to mention that Trevor Murdoch's using a rematch clause, but maybe now they got it out of the way so that they never have to say it again. So the Cardona win was completely unsportsmanlike and without honor, just like we saw with Jay White winning the NWA or the IWGP title last night. Jay White won that against Okada with zero honor whatsoever. So definitely the same kind of story going on here. And I haven't said this yet, but this show was just as good as the New Japan Dominion show. The first hour of New Japan last night sucked. And I don't think there's any extended period in this pay-per-view. And you can even include the pre-show. There was no extended period that sucked. So I never thought I was going to say that, which means I am a NWA fan now. They put on just as good a show as New Japan did, in my opinion. And of course, if you don't like big guys and big women fighting, you might not like this, but give it a chance. It's not your 1992 big guy battles. It's still very athletic. And getting back to this, Trevor Murdoch came out, but then Tom Lattimore comes out. And when he gets on the mic, that's the moment in time I realized he was Bram, which was crazy in my mind. So Bram, Tom Lattimore definitely has a type because Camille is definitely comparable to Charlotte in body size and demeanor anyway. And even that spear that Camille hit earlier was reminiscent of Charlotte. Three-way match in the pre-show was the weakest point, but it still gets a pass. Yeah, I just kind of enjoyed it because I like those kind of tag teams that are the matches where they're triple threat and they don't not the damn ones where there's only two people in the ring at a time and you got to tag a partner that's not even your partner. Like I hate that stuff. So yeah, you're right about that. That was probably the weakest one. Everything on the main card was great. Nothing too bad. Like I said, Murdoch came out. Tom Lattimore's now out. He's with Camille. Camille gets on the mic, basically saying again that she wants to be the power couple. And Tom says Corgan never believed him that he was a main eventer. So now Tom's shooting on Corgan. Uh, Great work, shoot all around so far. Then all of a sudden, this was kind of surprising. Sam Shaw now comes out, and he actually speaks, but he says only a couple words. He said he wants in. So at this point, we now see Cardona is forced to give up the title, and he storms off in anger. So we don't see Matt Cardona for the rest of the show. The show called Always Ready that he was not ready for. You just can't write it, bro. You can't write it. So we've got our main event set. It was made just now. A four-way match for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Making his return after 4 years, Sam Shaw, who I thought was never going to get fired from NXT. But here he is fighting for the NWA World Heavyweight title against Nick Aldis, the former champion, Tom Lattimore, the former Bram, former tag partner of Nick Aldis, and wants to be the power couple of the entire company along with Camille if he can win. And then another former champion, Trevor Murdoch. So big match here. Bubba Ray / Bully Ray stays on commentary for this main event, and he notes that the NWA title should not be won in an ECW type brawl in the crowd, which is exactly how this match has started. So this match starts with the four-way brawl in the crowd, reminiscent of ECW, and it's pretty funny that Bully Ray of all people is like, "This isn't how a NWA title should be won," and thankfully they stop brawling in the crowd pretty quickly, and we get pretty much a regular four-way match from here on out. Aldis and Lattimore don't fight each other right away, so this is where I'm thinking to myself, this is probably a big spot playing between these two later on, but we don't have to wait much longer. This is where the announcers tell me former best friends, and then they feuded big time. So now I know the exact story that Lattimore is a heel, turned on Aldis, all that. Aldis and Lattimore, after fighting against each other a little bit, then worked together, but that only lasted about 10 seconds, and they're right back to fighting each other. So good action throughout, high spots, power, technical, all the stuff you want. Definitely, I would compare NWA to New Japan as far as the kind of they want to treat it like it's a sport, and you get a lot of good hybrid style, a lot of variety, not too many promos, but definitely more promos than New Japan. But it's not a spot fest like AEW, and it's not completely sports entertainment like WWE and Impact. So all this is last table was strictly business. It was Latimer, Camille, and Adonis. So that sounds like a pretty cool stable. I'll definitely start going back into the archives and watching some of this stuff. I'm definitely interested in this promotion after what I've seen. So, and I mean, you can think maybe Cardona was the final key to unlock me to finally come watch this, despite me being a Camille fan and never seeing her. I should have came and watched it before now, but Cardona was able to get my money into the business or into the promotion, and now I'll put some more money into it. And let's get back to this match. Like I said, good action, high spots, power, technical. Um, Good four-way put on, especially on short notice. I don't know when they knew it was going to be a four-way match. Probably somewhere around Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe even a week ago. But not a lot of time to put this match together with four different people. They did a good job with it. We get that same exact spot that Aaron Stevens tripped on the turnbuckle, diving off it. I don't think I've ever seen that spot in my entire life, and we see it twice in one pay per view. Yeah, the buys all one. I'm definitely gonna do that. I didn't know if I was gonna love it or not, so I went with the one time purchase. But then I'll get the year one from now on. And yeah, it's $50 a month, or I mean a year. You get all the pay per views, you get all the shows before they go on YouTube, and a few more extras. So I would definitely get into this promotion if you're thinking about it, and definitely go watch this show because I even though I'm explaining a lot of what happens, I think you do need to experience this show. So this main event was pretty good. It got a lot of time. Shaw kicks out of a, all this tombstone at one point, which was pretty cool. And like I said, that I still can't believe that we saw that weird tripping on the turnbuckle spot twice in one night when I've never seen it in my life and I've watched for 30 years. Um, but yeah, we get Trevor Murdoch. His knee gets worked over a lot of this. Oh, I can go all the way back to episode 1 of Power, so that's definitely what I'm gonna do. Um, but yeah, Trevor Murdoch gets his knee worked over most of this match. He looks like the least one that's gonna win. Although in my mind, the last one that was gonna win was Sam Shaw. Just came back. I don't think the fans would have been very happy with that, even though he's a face. But yeah, out of nowhere, top rope bulldog by Murdoch. We saw that it put away got him the win over Aaron Stevens earlier, and it gets them the win here on Aldis. So Aldis is pinned by Trevor Murdoch to win his second NWA World Heavyweight Championship, and I'm cool with that. I can distinctly remember getting like WWE versus SmackDown versus ECW like '07, '06. And I picked Trevor Murdoch because I always like to pick like a random guy to do like the career mode with. And Trevor Murdoch was my guy I did that entire game with. So always kind of been a Trevor Murdoch fan. Glad to see him win the title here. Um, he has a quick promo on the microphone afterward, and just basically says like it doesn't matter if you're ugly, fat, yellow, white, whatever. If you put your mind to it, you can get your dreams done or whatever like that. So a good baby face promo, and just wants you to work hard and to get what you want. So uh, Billy Corgan seems to ponder something on the outside. It seems like something the gears are grinding in Billy Corgan's head on the outside, but then Corgan shakes Murdoch's hand. So does Bully Ray. and it goes off the air. So NWA will be taping the next round of shows. Their next round of, I think, both Power and USA are taped, and that'll be, I think, in the same exact venue in the same city of Knoxville tomorrow, which was today. So these are already in the can, more than likely. I hope they're not still taping at midnight now on the East Coast. So, again, I really enjoyed this show. I never thought I'd get an hour and a half out of it, but there was a lot to talk about. I love the pre-show as well. So, if you are interested in watching this, I would highly recommend watching the pre-show. And I even went back and watched some of the Power and USA shows that you can get for free on YouTube. But like Ded was saying over here, if you get the $50 for a year, you get all the Powers, all the USA's going all the way back. You get all the pay-per-views in the future for the year. So a lot of good things going on in the NWA, and I'm glad I did this. So I will be back. I will be reviewing NWA Power in USA as we go forward here. I don't know exactly what day I'll fit them in because I got a busy schedule now, but I will definitely be reviewing those shows. Thanks for your help, Dad. I appreciate it. And if you have anything you want to plug, go ahead. I'll put it up on the screen before I leave here. And I'll be back on tomorrow night for the Raw review. It looks like could be a decent show. We don't know exactly what's going to go on, but we probably expect that there's going to be some Money in the Bank qualifiers. So I'll be back on tomorrow night for Raw. And yeah, also they're taping today, Monday, and Tuesday. The Monday and Tuesday ones are in Nashville. So a lot of shows being taped. And we'll see where all these storylines go from there. I'm excited to see where a lot of the storylines they've set up. So thanks again for helping out, and I will talk to you guys next time. I'll be back for Raw tomorrow. Peace.